thank you both for agreeing to chat with me about your teaching practice. Sam, would you like to give me a bit of context about the school that you work in?
Yeah, sure. So we work in a secondary school in the Midlands, and we work with age 11 to 16. It's a very mixed school, which is fabulous.
Thank you. Okay. So the first question that I'm going to ask you both is what diversity means for you. So Alkesh, would you like to answer that question?
Diversity for me would be about inclusion of, I guess, everybody, regardless of sort of race, gender, sexual orientation. I mean, anybody that's got a label, essentially, or hasn't got a label, should be thought about and included in activities or whatever is going on for it to be called diverse, I think, where all the people involved, their thoughts, their ideas are considered equally, I guess.
Thank you. Sam, have you got anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think diversity for me is about the full range of human experience. So in this context, can be anything like Alkesh was saying about race, about gender, and being aware and acknowledging those scales of different people and their different experiences. So for me, it's about as well creating a space where they feel safe and welcomed and valued for exactly who they are and how they identify.
Thank you. So the next question, in what context of your practice have you experienced diversity?
I feel like encouraging diversity is really where we might step in. So again, creating that safe space and being honest and open with who you are and what you might identify with, and creating opportunities for people to feel safe enough to just be out, be open, whatever that might mean to them, and knowing that in that space they can be as diverse as humans are.
As a practitioner, it's obvious the school that we are in is actually, like Sam says, very diverse. We have, I would say, approaching 50% ethnic minorities. There's a lot that goes on in our school in terms of inclusion, if you like, in terms of trying to accept and understand and have an awareness of all of these sort of peoples and cultures that have come together in our kind of 200 square meters of space every day for 5 days a week.
We don't collect specific data on all of the groups that are protected groups. But I think it's about, I know I keep coming back to it, but I think it's about creating that safe space for people that do identify in various different ways to feel like, and rightly so, it's perfectly okay to identify however you identify, and kind of building support around that once they've felt empowered to identify in school. So there's some people that do come with data, such as anyone with a learning barrier. We will know about that before they get here. So it's clearer on how we're going to be supporting those pupils. Obviously, we get to know them on a one-on-one basis and get to know their particular individual needs. But I think it's about creating a safe space for pupils that maybe we don't know there. And I hate the word label, but we don't know any data on a protected group, and creating a space where they feel that they can self-identify, and that's perfectly okay. Yeah, I just feel like all of these words that you're saying to me are really, really tangled in my head of, I don't see them as separate things at all, because for me, they go totally hand in hand. If you're not inclusive, you're not going to encourage diversity. And if you're not diverse, you're not going to encourage inclusion. And they kind of, they do go hand in hand. So for me, for encouraging and being inclusive is about acknowledging that diversity, and encouraging a place where that is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, safe space.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's got to start. And as teachers, we're in charge of that safe space. And as a school, you know, we're an institution, and we get most out of the kids when they're feeling comfortable. And if we can achieve that, then I think, you know, we're doing well for the kids. It's the kids, because if they're coming in every day and they're feeling all right, at least all right, then that's, you know, then that's great. That's great 5-6 hours for them, regardless of what the rest of their life might be like. You know, and they're not feeling, you know, threatened or bullied just because of who they are or whatever. That may strike them as being slightly different. So if it's a safe space to be, like Sam says, it's really, really important, I think.
Can you unpick what a safe space would look like in a classroom on a practical level?
It's about being aware of your curriculum, really picking apart what it is you are delivering, not using things that are just off the internet. It's been a really personal journey for you to plan, prepare and deliver those opportunities for pupils, making sure that your schemes of learning that you're following are really diverse in their nature. So issues will come up that the pupils can relate to, and making sure that your projects cover a broad range of practitioners. So we're ADT teachers. We link our work to practitioners and professionals, making sure that that is not just old dead white guys. And there's nothing wrong with the old dead white guys, but we don't want to just focus on them, making sure that we've got a really broad range of people that identify in many different ways. You can then quite easily lead into classroom discussions, and teenagers are fabulous. They love a discussion, and I love that too. So if we can create a safe space via the content that we're delivering, and the pupils might be sat there thinking, oh, hang on, Miss is okay with this, and I'm okay with this, and let's have a conversation and see if the whole class are okay with this. And I think it's a really valuable and vital space to anyone that is feeling a little bit like they've got something to say. If you create that space and you can maintain it, they can grow in strength and become a powerful adult.
The space that we are in charge of is really important, but the space is the environment itself. To make that more inclusive, could have multilingual things that are familiar to people that may not have grown up here, and that just to set people at ease, for them to have some kind of connection when they walk in the door. And that I think is a simple fix, whether it's multilingual or whatever. But I think in terms of safety, we as the teacher have to be the safety, has to be the safe space, because if we are starting off conversations, if we are wanting students to explore, then we have to be confident enough that we can actually follow it through as well.
I think they're a really important tool. I think collaboration with a broad range of people is the only way we're going to see anything forward. If you live in an echo chamber where all you see, hear and do are things that you've always seen, heard and done with people that are exactly like you from your background, you're never going to move forward. So I think that collaboration with each other in a school setting or in any setting, as an adult, as a child, as anything, anyone, is just really vital to get those differing points of view and differing experiences. Otherwise, how are you going to grow as a person, really?
A few years ago, we did, I forget what it's called now, setting up a business basically with the students. And what I found with that experience was that it was an open invite to a particular year group, to year 10s, and they were given the opportunity to essentially come up with an idea and sell it as a business, to try and make some money out of it, and they would keep the profits. What I found with that was that the people interested in that was really, really wide. right across. It didn't matter who you were, boy, girl, gender. I mean, it did not matter. And so many students wanted to get involved with that. And having that something that was different allowed kids who just don't get to express that interest being able to come forward, or being able to use their own skills in a different setting. You know, I'm good at designing, I'm good at maths, I'm good at this. I can see how I can use that in a business setting. And there was a lot of, just a whole variety of kids who wanted to get involved with that sort of collaborative activity, if you like. And it was extremely successful.
I just think it's about having a really wide range of opportunities. So like Alkesh was saying about it's young enterprise.
Thank you.
And it's all right. And then having a really broad range in your curriculum of opportunities for them, and acknowledging the really, really, really broad range of differences in the pupils, and providing as many different opportunities as you can. Mine do a lot of peer assessing. We speak a lot about doing a class gallery work where they all leave their work out and go and kind of critique each other's work. Sharing, working together, looking how each other are doing, giving each other tips for development, and seeing the different range of outcomes that might be in the room. I also talk to my learners a lot about my learning barrier, which helps them kind of break down a little bit in GARD. So I'm dyscalculic, and I often have the pupils help me with things like inputting numbers or long strings of data that I have to look at. And I feel like they really value that experience because they can see that I'm successful. I have this area that I'm not so successful at, and that's fine. I'm still happy. I'm still valued. I'm still doing well in an area that I like. And I think in schools, it's quite easy for kids to feel like they have to be brilliant at everything to be successful. And I think it is, again, being diverse in our interests and the bits that we are going to go on to work with for the rest of our lives.
It's all linked. Everything, like Sam said at the beginning, at the very beginning, it's all linked together. But I think it takes energy. It takes energy and a little bit of vision as to how, what are we trying to achieve here? We're trying to just get everybody involved in everything as much as possible, and a good level of understanding.